Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right with money and still not moving forward? Or looked at your income on paper and thought, I should be further ahead than this by now? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of middle-class adults live in this quiet tension every day. Not because they're lazy, not because they're irresponsible, but because they're stuck inside invisible psychological traps that quietly sabotage their progress. The painful part is that these traps don't look dangerous. They feel normal. They feel like this is just how everyone lives. But normal is often the very thing keeping you stuck. So in this video, we're going to uncover 15 psychological traps that keep people broke without realizing it. And more importantly, how to step out of them with clarity and self-respect, not shame. There's a man we'll call Daniel. On paper, Daniel did everything society told him to do. He got a degree, found a stable job, bought a car, paid his bills, ate out on weekends, used credit cards responsibly, and told himself that one day, when his salary was higher, he'd finally start getting serious about money. Years passed, the salary went up, but somehow the pressure never went down. There was always a new expense, a new loan, a new "I deserve this" purchase. One day, after a small health scare and an unexpected bill, Daniel opened his banking app and felt that cold shock in his chest. After years of working, he had almost nothing to show for it. No real savings, no investments, no safety net. He wasn't careless, he wasn't bad with numbers. He was just living inside the same pattern most middle-class people live in. That was the day he realized something powerful. The problem wasn't just his income. The problem was the way his mind had been trained to think about money. The middle class in wealthy countries is full of people like Daniel, hard-working, responsible, intelligent adults who still feel like their money is slipping through their fingers. The reason isn't just prices, salaries, or the economy. A huge part of the problem lives in our beliefs, our habits, and our automatic stories about what normal life should look like. Money isn't only math, it's psychology. Once you see the mental traps clearly, you can start making different decisions without feeling like you're fighting yourself every day. In this video, we're going to walk through 15 of those traps. As you listen, notice which ones feel uncomfortably familiar. Not to judge yourself, but to finally understand what's been working against you in the background. Let's start with the first trap, one that looks harmless because everyone around you is doing it. The first psychological trap is believing that earning more is enough on its own. Many middle-class adults live in an earn, spend, repeat loop. Paycheck comes in, bills go out, lifestyle fills the rest, and if anything is left, it might be saved if there's room. It feels normal because everyone around you lives the same way. But this pattern quietly keeps you stuck, no matter how high your salary goes. The truth is that wealth doesn't come from income alone. It comes from what you consistently keep and build. Imagine two people with similar incomes. One decides that a part of every paycheck is non-negotiable. It automatically goes into savings and investments before any lifestyle spending. The other waits to see what's left over at the end of the month. 10 years later, their lives look completely different. The first has assets, options, and breathing room. The second has stories about how life is expensive. The question isn't, how much do you earn? The real question is, how much do you systematically keep and grow? The second trap is our brain's obsession with feeling good right now. Eating out constantly, buying small rewards, upgrading gadgets, booking one more trip because life is short. None of these are bad on their own. But when instant gratification becomes the main way you cope with stress or boredom, it turns into a slow leak in your financial life. It's like turning on a tap in your house and letting it drip all day. One drop doesn't matter. 10,000 drops do. Many adults don't realize how much of their money goes to small, repeated comforts that lose their meaning after a few days. The real cost isn't just the dollars. It's the opportunities you never fund. Investments, skills, freedom months, options later in life. When you understand this trap, you don't have to stop enjoying life. You simply start separating real joy from quick relief and treating them differently in your budget. The third trap is the belief that your financial life will begin later, when debt is lower, when the kids are older, when the job pays more, when life is less stressful. The problem is that later never arrives. There is always another reason to wait. This mindset turns time, which should be your greatest ally, into something that quietly works against you. Think about investing or building an emergency fund. The earlier you start, even with tiny amounts, the more compounding works in your favor. But when your brain tells you it's not the right moment yet, you'll fix this in the future, years can disappear without any real foundation being built. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is to move from later to now but small. You don't need the perfect plan. You need a first step that begins today, not someday. The fourth trap is confusing comfort with safety. Many middle-class adults rely entirely on a job, a single paycheck, or the promise of a pension and feel safe because things are stable for now. On the surface, it looks responsible. Underneath, it's fragile. Real safety comes from having buffers, assets, and options. It comes from having savings for emergencies, from being insured against major risks, from taking care of your health before it becomes a crisis. When people skip insurance, delay checkups, or ignore their health because it's too expensive right now, they're not saving money. They're borrowing trouble from the future. One unexpected bill, one health issue, one layoff can flip everything. The question to ask yourself is simple. If something went wrong tomorrow, would I have shock absorbers, or would everything crash? The fifth psychological trap is treating debt as a natural extension of your income. Credit cards, car loans, store financing, buy now, pay later offers. When you see them everywhere, it's easy to believe this is just how modern life works. But debt changes your relationship with the future. It pulls tomorrow's income into today's lifestyle, leaving your future self with the bill. Over time, this becomes a quiet tax on everything you earn. The trap isn't just the numbers, it's the story behind them. I'll pay it off later. I deserve this. Everyone has debt. Once that story feels normal, it becomes incredibly hard to step out of it. A powerful shift is moving from how much can I borrow to how much freedom am I trading away for this? That simple question changes the entire conversation. The sixth trap shows up in a very socially acceptable way: constant eating out and lifestyle entertainment. Being a foodie or always doing something fun feels like a reward for working hard, and in moderation, it is. But for many middle-class adults, restaurants, takeaways, and little lifestyle treats become the main form of pleasure, stress relief, and social connection. The result is a quiet but heavy monthly bill that feels non-negotiable. You don't see it as overspending, you see it as, this is just my life. The real issue isn't that dinner out is wrong. The issue is never asking, how much of my money is going to short bursts of pleasure versus long-term stability and freedom? When you start answering that honestly, your choices begin to change naturally without feeling like punishment. The seventh psychological trap is believing that expensive education automatically equals a better life. Many families pressure themselves into high-cost schools, degrees, and programs because it feels like the responsible or prestigious thing to do. But a degree is not a golden ticket. It's a tool. And like any tool, its value depends on how it's used and what it costs relative to what it brings back. When you borrow heavily for an education without running the numbers or considering other paths, you may be buying status, not opportunities. The trap here is emotional. Fear of falling behind, fear of not giving your kids the best, fear of looking like you chose a cheaper path. But the real best is a life with flexibility and manageable obligations, not a life squeezed by debt for decades. The eighth trap feels productive on the surface. Many middle-class adults try to handle everything themselves to save money. All repairs, all admin, all tax work, every little task. The intention is good, but the hidden cost is time, energy, and missed opportunities. Your time is also a resource. When you spend every evening and weekend fixing, researching, and managing everything alone, you often sacrifice time that could be used to learn higher-value skills, build a side income, or simply rest so you can think clearly. The deeper psychology here is control and fear. If I don't do it myself, it will be wrong or too expensive. Over time, this turns into burnout and stagnation. Smart wealth building is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things and letting the rest be simplified, delegated, or automated. The ninth psychological trap appears when life becomes good enough. You can pay the bills, you have a routine, maybe a few small luxuries, it's comfortable, and that comfort becomes a ceiling. You stop pushing for better opportunities, additional skills, or new income streams because there's no immediate pain forcing you to change. The problem is that the world keeps moving, prices keep rising, and your future self will need more resilience than your current self. Staying in permanent good enough mode is like camping halfway up a mountain and convincing yourself it's the top. You're safe for now, but you've limited what your life could become. Growth doesn't require hating your current life. It just requires not falling asleep in it. The 10th trap is treating retirement as a vague destination that will somehow work out once pensions or Social Security arrive. For many people, that used to be enough. For our generation, it often isn't. Relying on a single pension or one employer's plan is like planning a long road trip with one tank of gas and no backup. Real retirement security is built over decades with multiple small decisions, contributing regularly, investing wisely, and building streams of income that don't depend on you working every hour. The psychological trap is postponing all of that because it feels distant. Retirement doesn't feel urgent, so present life always wins. But every year you wait, the hill becomes steeper. Starting small now is far more powerful than starting big later. The 11th psychological trap is believing that a higher salary alone will solve everything. Once I earn X, then I'll be fine. But many people reach X and still feel pressure. Lifestyle quietly rises with income. Better cars, nicer rentals, more trips, more subscriptions. The numbers change, but the feeling doesn't. The truth is that income is only one part of the equation. How you use it matters just as much. When you focus solely on earning more, you might ignore building assets, systems, and boundaries. You can have a great salary and still live one crisis away from disaster. Shifting from "I need more income" to "I need better use of the income I have and multiple paths for it to grow" is a huge mental upgrade. The 12th trap is living in a constant fog about your finances. You roughly know what comes in and goes out, but nothing is truly clear. You avoid looking too closely at debts, subscriptions, small leaks, and net worth because it feels overwhelming or a bit shameful. That fog is expensive. You can't fix what you refuse to see. Clarity is not always comfortable at first, but it is incredibly powerful. When you know your income, spending, assets, and net worth, you stop moving blindly and start making intentional choices. This is exactly why we're creating the Trip to Wealth Command Center. It's a simple, grounded way to organize your income, track your assets, and finally see your financial life with calm. You can join the early access list below if you want to be one of the first to try it. Once the fog lifts, every other decision becomes easier. The 13th psychological trap is comparing your life to everyone else's highlight reel. Social media, neighbors, colleagues, and friends can trick you into believing that success means matching their lifestyle. New cars, renovations, trips, private schools, it all looks like normal middle-class life. But you never see the financing behind it, the stress, the risks, or the compromises. When comparison becomes your reference point, you start making money decisions with someone else's values and someone else's numbers. That rarely ends well. A powerful shift happens when you decide that your financial life will be built according to your goals, your values, and your timelines, not someone else's performance. The 14th trap is never talking honestly about money. Many people grow up in families where money is either a source of tension, shame, or total silence. As adults, they repeat the pattern. Couples don't talk deeply about their finances, parents don't teach their kids beyond be careful, friends never share what actually works. In that silence, mistakes multiply and myths survive. You end up thinking you're the only one struggling, which makes it even harder to seek help or learn. Breaking this trap doesn't mean sharing every detail with everyone. It means allowing trusted conversations, education, and guidance into your life. Money becomes less of a quiet anxiety and more of a skill you're allowed to develop. The 15th and final trap is subtle but powerful, defining yourself by your current financial situation. I'm just middle class. I've always been bad with money. People like me don't get ahead. When these ideas live in the background of your mind, you unconsciously make decisions that match them. You aim smaller, delay action, accept less, and sabotage opportunities because they don't fit the story you hold about yourself. But your financial identity is not fixed. It's a story, and stories can be rewritten. When you start seeing yourself as someone who learns, improves, and builds, even slowly, your decisions begin to support that new identity. And over time, money follows. If any of these traps felt uncomfortably familiar, that's not a reason to feel guilty. It's actually a sign of awareness. And awareness is the first step out. Most of these patterns were learned, copied, or absorbed from the environment around you. They were survival strategies, not personal failures. Now you know better, and knowing better gives you the chance to do better. One small decision at a time. You don't need to fix everything overnight. Pick one trap that resonated the most. Maybe it's the earn, spend, repeat loop, the debt normalization, the comfort ceiling, or the financial fog. Decide on one simple, clear action you can take this week to begin stepping out of it. That's how real transformation starts in adult life, quietly, deliberately, and with respect for yourself. If this video brought you clarity or relief, I'd invite you to check this video next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. This channel is here to help you build a financial life that feels calm, stable, and emotionally grounded. Not perfect, but steadily improving. Until then, take care of your mind, take care of your money, and I'll see you in the next one.